soul.
Yay. Look at that. So timely.
All righty, the studio audience love it. I'm your host, Stuart Fournier. We're here to talk about real estate. I'm a 26 year, veteran of the real estate world. My wife and Randy and I have represented all facets of residential real estate, and we like to get on here at 11 o'clock every Tuesday to talk about real estate, to talk about some things we can help you with regard to your buying or selling of your property. And it's always a pleasure to introduce my lovely co-host.
Hello, everyone. I am not the wife. I am Anastasia Bonholzer. I am a mortgage broker. It sounded like we were married, but Stuart and I are just colleagues. I am a mortgage broker with AMS Mortgage Services, and I am producing business in California, Texas, and Florida. So happy to help with local transactions in the South Bay as well as outside of the South Bay in Texas and Florida, end up being really common these days because of the price points.
And that's always news when it comes to Anastasia's industry. Things change on a dime. And one of the changes that actually came about, I don't know if this is related to the fact that Compass bought some other real estate companies and now there's a connection of some sort, but I'll let
Yes.
her explain.
Yeah, there's definitely incentive. Yeah. We have
Okay.
free money, people. So if you're a buyer out there and you're wanting some free money in terms of a lender credit, we can now give you $3,000 through a lender credit. You don't get it cash back. You get it as a lender credit that can be applied towards a closing cost reduction. So it's really nice. There's no strings attached. Most borrowers do qualify. And if you work with Stewart as a buyer's agent, you get an extra $3,000 from me. And why not?
There you
We all
go.
like that.
Okay.
Those that free money. That's basically it. All Compass agents get the 3K. So if you have a buyer's agent who's a Compass agent like Stewart, and you work with myself on this transaction, we will give you extra funds.
And I'll be happy to send you that flyer. I just popped up on the screen there for a few minutes so you can hear more about it. That's about as commercial as we get on this program, but we wanted to introduce that. But the purpose of this program is to interact with you, to answer any questions you have about nearly any aspect of residential real estate and mortgage loan. And so if you'd like to make a comment or talk with us right on the air, you can do that. We'll see it right here on the screen. We'll answer your questions. And if you're real brave, we could actually bring you on screen, but we haven't had that happen yet. So maybe at some point in time we'll get somebody brave enough to talk to us on screen. But anyway, today what I wanted to do was talk to you about, or Anastasia and I wanted to review with you, what's the best way to actually search online. Now, as we all know, there are literally hundreds of companies out there trying to get your eyeballs on their site. Let's face it, I coined the frame about 5 years ago. I said, information is no longer the most expensive commodity, attention span is. And so there are billions of dollars spent daily on getting your eyes on, or your eyeballs on people's sites. And certainly in the real estate industry, that is, probably the most
A lot of clickbait
invested.
out there as well.
A lot of
Yeah.
clickbait, yeah. And the truth of the matter is that it's gotten so sophisticated that literally you don't have to look anymore. And what I mean by that is that once you get or you decide on a vehicle or whatever site you're going to be on, they're going to give it to you right on your phone. So you literally don't have to even search anymore. It comes to you. Now, let's talk about whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. For sellers, I want to say this real quick for sellers. When you price your house in any way, shape, or form incorrectly, it really works against you nowadays because what's happening is that people, once they're comfortable, once they are really looking, once they're serious about buying, they've already tuned into the method they want to use. They've already tuned into the platform that's going to tell them when something new comes up. It is all automated nowadays. Our roles as realtors have changed tremendously as a result. And of course, that's another subject. We want to talk specifically today about what's best for you in terms of the search. And in order to do that, what I have to do is give a little bit of history so I can give sort of a foundational understanding of exactly the best way to search. And I'll be very brief about the history of it. Basically, in 2005, way back when, 20 years ago, a little over 20 years ago, the real estate industry was not being very cooperative with the internet. They were way behind with their technology, and that's in fact why companies like Zillow and Redfin just took off because they knew how to market. They didn't know that much about real estate, to be quite frank, but they knew how to market. That's where they came from. And so it took many, many years for the real estate industry to sort of adjust to that marketing aspect. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because what you should know is that when you go directly to a realtor site or when you go to a broker's site, and by the way, we all have the same information, we just package it a little differently. When you go to that site, you're actually getting sort of first string. If I can make an analogy for, say, football, this is your offense. Your offense is doing their best to get the information out to you, but there are rules in every game. And as in football, if you break the rules, you get penalized. Now, the companies like Zillow that get our information, that started getting it in 2005, don't have the same rules. So their marketing aspect is much different from the rules that realtors have to follow. So why is that important to you as someone who's looking? Well, it's important to you because it really stretches the accuracy of what you're seeing. The commercial companies do not have to be accurate because they are not licensed, they are not under ethical concerns, but the brokerages are. And so therein lies the difference between the two. Possibly, and in the beginning, Zillow and all those other companies did make it much easier for the consumer to see what was available. Were their listings accurate? Not necessarily. So over the years, what's happened, and it's pretty much synced now, all the real estate websites are as equitable and as appealing as Zillow or Redfin or other types of platforms. And they have the same technology. And in some cases, even better technology, to be quite honest. Now, we haven't been able to shake the Zillow yoke that's been around for 20 years now. But at some point in time, that's going to happen. So my best advice to you in terms of searching for a home is to make sure that you connect with a real estate agent who's going to have the most accurate information, the most up-to-date information. We literally get the information online within seconds anytime it's entered into your website. And in most cases, as you know, you can actually program whether you want information right away, whether you want it maybe on an hourly basis, whether you want it just on a daily basis, whether you want it on a weekly basis. You have all those choices nowadays, and we send it to you on that basis as well. Make sense?
Yeah, I want to address some mistakes that buyers make, because they think they don't need an agent, so then they simply go to these sites like Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com. They search in the search engine, and then they think they are getting connected to the listing agent when there's an automatic clickbait button says, "Would you like to view this property?" And in fact, these sites, like Stuart mentioned, these are data collecting websites. They are marketing firms. They are not real estate offices. And so what they do, if you are one of those buyers that clicks on a home and you'd like to view that home, don't be fooled by thinking you're getting connected to a real estate agent that is associated with that listing. Most often than not, your data is then sold to a realtor who's purchasing you as a lead, which is something that happens very often. And then when you call or when somebody calls and says, "Hey, would you like to view this property?" That agent that you're getting connected to has no association whatsoever to the to that listing. And so that's the mistake I've seen done over and over again is, agents do buy leads, and you become a lead if you happen to go through one of these real estate websites. And I caution people, just because in the past what has happened is, if one of my buyers is searching in the city of Carson for a property, they look at a Carson property, they think they're getting connected to that listing agent, and then suddenly a agent calls, everything is peachy, and then they find out that that agent actually lives in Orange County. What does that
Right.
mean? It means that that Orange County agent happened to purchase you as a lead, and you want to have local representation. I think that's the most important aspect of real estate. Is every neighborhood, we're kind of like a community. Listing agents, no buyer's agent, no lenders, and so it's important to get direct access to the property. So if you want to view a property, the best thing that you could do as somebody who wants to see the property is, one, find a buyer's agent. That's the most recommended way, is have your own representation. Or, I mean, if you don't have buyer representation, make sure you actually are talking to the listing agent. Make sure, if you don't have a buyer's agent, make sure you're talking to the listing agent, not just some random realtor.com realtor who's
Right.
driving from San Diego to show you a property 2 hours away.
Right. And this is going to, I think most people will find this very interesting. Realtor, of course, is a trademark that is owned by realtors across the nation. It's owned by the NAR, National Association of Realtors, an association with the California Association of Realtors, and of course, here in the South Bay, we have our own MLS. I won't get into that; that's going to be very complicated. But the the term realtor just means that you belong to, for all intents and purposes, the Association of Realtors across the nation. Now, what was interesting was that way back when .com was, the prevailing overall understanding of, you're online. I'm really dating myself right now. But .com was gold, right? If you had .com next to your name, it was gold. And so at some point in time, the Realtor Association, the NAR, actually sold the rights to Realtor.com. Now, Realtor.com as a website is not owned by the National Association of Realtors. It is not owned by the California Association of Realtors. You know who owns Realtor.com? Mr. Robert Murdoch, the same person that owns
Of
Fox,
course he does.
and
Right.
and yeah, and they bought
Conglomerate.
it
Right.
about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, and I had such great
Yeah.
expectations when they bought it. Not because I'm particularly a fan of that organization, but I thought, if anything, an organization that large would be able to figure out how to maneuver past all the other, commercial type organizations. Now, just to clarify that a little bit, the National Association of Realtors does own the term, of course, the trademark realtor, but they were able to sell the rights to the two different private entities, so those entities could create, in some way, shape, or form, the illusion that these were all the realtors that were part of this website. Now, the only association that we have as
Yeah.
being part of
Data
that website,
collecting site just to make
there
money.
you go.
Yeah.
Right. So all of
Yeah.
us, of course, are, you know, platformed and present ourselves as being part of Realtor.com, but the truth is it's privately owned, the actual company itself. So I know, how confusing does that get? It gets very confusing. But the bottom line is that your realtors, and in the case of Realtor.com, since there is a direct connection, you are getting the freshest information. You are getting the up-to-date information within seconds. The gap between the portal, if you will, for all the real estate, residential real estate across the nation, and commercial is pretty quick. It's literally within probably anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour or so. So they all do compete on that regard. But again, the accuracy is a different thing. Realtors do not hold the responsibility in any way, shape, or form to the commercial and how they disseminate it. But we do have a problem sometimes with their policies. As for example, Compass Real Estate right now is involved in a very heavy lawsuit. I should say more accurate term would be a significant lawsuit with Zillow. And for those of you that are confused about what coming soon versus in escrow and active, all those pending, all those kinds of terms, it's as a result of our understanding between how those other companies represent our listing. And so there's a big fight over that because without getting into the weeds, it becomes very complicated as to what the responsibilities are in representation to the public. We're all struggling to get accurate information to the public as realtors because that's our job, that's our ethical concerns, those are our legal concerns. But the commercial end of things is not so concerned with that. So I know I've, gone off
Yep.
infinitum on this, and I apologize, but it really is something to consider when you're searching for a home. If you want the best, most accurate information, and you don't want to waste your time driving to some place that's not going to be, your future home, make sure you're working with a realtor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good one. No, I think it's all valid points, and it's just important for buyers to understand where the data is coming from. Connect yourself with an actual agent that you know. Get some referrals. Asking your friends for realtors if you don't know who those realtors are is a good opportunity. Read reviews, but don't just blindly. I think work with a realtor until you know who you're working with.
Well,
That
with
would be
that
my
said,
advice. Just
right.
because, yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but with that advice, along with that advice, you also need to understand that in order to see a home, you do have to have a contract with a realtor nowadays. For those of you that are not aware,
Yep.
that's been around for about a year and a half now. Most of you that are actually searching for a home definitely know that already. But for those of you that are thinking about getting into the market, yeah, we've had a major change, and that is if you want to see a house with a realtor, you have to have a contract with that realtor in order to see a house.
Yep.
If there's a realtor showing you a house and they don't have a contract with you, you should take that as a big warning flag. Yep. So
Yeah, I
it's
agree.
let's see.
Alrighty, well, I think that's it for today. Connect with us if you want $3,000, credit, and connect with us if you want to see properties, and we'll be happy to show you properties in and around South Bay.
And if you have any questions or comments that you'd like to ask regarding our show, or changes, or whatever, go ahead and feel free to leave them in the comment section. Say that 10 times, and we'll be happy to answer and get to your subject matter and answer any questions you have about residential buying. So we'll see you next time, everyone. 11 o'clock every Tuesday. We're here to give advice and to help you in any way that we can. Anastasia, see you next week.
Sounds good. Thank you. Over and
Okay.
out.
Bye-bye. All right. Finally did it. Everything worked.
Yes, I just logged off. Perfect. And you're still live, by the way.
I'm still live.
Yeah, you're still.